Welcome to City Builders, presented by MBR Partners. I'm Portia Bailey-Bernard, founder and managing principal of MBR Partners, where we help companies, developers, and communities navigate growth through economic development strategy, public-private partnerships, incentives, and stakeholder engagement. I launched City Builders because the conversations that shape our cities often happen behind the scenes. This podcast is about the people, the ideas, and the partnerships driving our communities forward. Today's guest is someone I've had the privilege of knowing and working with for many years, Vincent Ash. Vincent and I first worked together at Develop Indy, and since then, I've watched him build an impressive career spanning commercial real estate, local economic development at Develop Indy, serving as chief of staff at the Indiana Economic Development Corporation, and now private development with Lauth Group. There are a few people who have experienced economic development from as many perspectives as Vincent has. Today, we'll talk about what he's learned throughout his career, how Indiana competes for investment, where economic development is headed, and what the public and private sectors can learn from one another. Vincent, welcome to City Builders.
Thanks for having me. Excited to be here. I've seen the launch and I was like, yeah, I can't wait to get on.
Oh, yeah.
So I appreciate the invite.
Oh, yeah. You were like on my top 5 list of people
Awesome.
I wanted to sit there. So I know your background, know a lot about you, but can you share for those that are listening and watching just kind of your journey, how your career started and how you even got into the space?
Yeah, absolutely. So through undergrad, I went to Indy. I was in the Kelley School of Business, focused on accounting and finance, and then realized I didn't want to do accounting. And so really just focused on finance, but grew up here in the city of Indianapolis, went to Tech High School, and I would say honestly did not know what I wanted to specialize in as I was going through undergrad, just kind of assumed I have a finance degree. Every company has a finance department. I'll find a job somewhere.
Yeah.
It wasn't until my summer of my senior year where I took a real estate intro course with John Snell. He is a consultant here in the city. He was starting up the real estate program at Indy at the time, starting with just a couple classes. It is now a full program at the Kelley School of Business, both in Bloomington and here in Indy. With that said, took that course that summer. At the time, I was working for the Indy Parks Department. So,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, started my career off as a lifeguard and kind of worked up to a park manager. So I worked for Indy Parks close to 8 or so years.
Okay.
Starting out when I was like 16 years old. It was a great experience, but knew I didn't have the experience and knowledge in a finance kind of realm and wanted to take some opportunity. So when I took that real estate course, I knew I got to get more exposure into real estate.
Yeah.
I'm not getting that in my current job. I was working full-time, going to school full-time, just very non-traditional kind of path.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah. With a family, a daughter at the time, doing odd and end jobs to make ends meet. So it was a lot. But again, knew I really didn't have the experience on the finance and real estate side I wanted to get to. So took a internship my fall of my senior year and continued the real estate analysis course that semester. The internship was at Simon Property Group, and then they hired me on full-time once I graduated. So that's how my career started, was at Simon. Worked there for about 3.5 years, enjoyed it, learned a lot. Worked in accounts receivable, did everything from making basically collections and receivable calls.
Nice collection call.
Had 2 properties in Puerto Rico, so I had to have Google translate up to help me.
Wait, you're really on the phone calling these folks? Like, where's the money at?
Dead serious. No, it was a good experience for me to learn in and outs, because pretty much what it is was just understanding the lease, understanding how buildings work. I was fortunate enough to work on a new property down in Brickell, which gave me a lot of exposure to a lot of different departments.
Yeah.
So it was exciting. And then I got into economic development after that.
Okay. So then you got over to, and if I'm correct on this, your next move was then to Develop Indy.
Yep, that's correct.
Okay.
Yeah. And that decision was a lot. Being 3 years at Simon, I mentioned I worked for the Parks Department. My dad has always preached to me the importance of community and like servitude.
Yep.
And so I missed that being in a corporate environment. And so I thought like, hey, I could really get get that fulfillment through community building, and I want to go work for a real estate developer. So that was in my mindset. And so it was a long, let's say about 6 months process where I was just applying to a lot of jobs. Honestly, there were some interviews that was like, I'm good, this is not going to work out. And some was shocked by that. I was a little bit bullish and kind of knuckleheaded, but again, I kind of knew what I wanted. And all of a sudden I seen a job posting for a project manager for Develop Indy on LinkedIn. The hiring manager, Nick Nicolini, was a friend of mine at the time. We met. I bought my first house in Speedway. He was a town manager.
Yep.
I wanted to get more involved in the community there, met with him, and we've kind of been friends ever since. But he made a posting. I reached out to him. The posting kind of looked like a paper pusher, so I wasn't all excited about it. But when he explained to me everything they do from business attraction, workforce development, working with developers, with TIF deals, site selection, etc., I really kind of got excited. I was like, this is something that I think I would enjoy doing. He was very honest with me. He was like, being here at the chamber, you're going to have access to a lot of different developers, good network. He was like, come do this for a few years. If you do a good job, like somebody's going to poach you. You're going to be able to take care of your family.
So I'm going to jump in really quick. For those that don't know what Develop Indy is, and it's now a whole new entity now, IEDEI, can you briefly share kind of what that quasi-governmental entity, because that's where you and I met.
Yep, exactly. So Develop Indy was essentially the economic development arm for the city of Indianapolis. So again, quasi-governmental. We work very closely with the city of Indianapolis and specifically DMD on moving incentive packages forward, doing business attraction. The reason why it was kind of separate, honestly, was for confidentiality purposes. As you're courting different companies, you're under NDAs, etc. You have to have a separation due to public request laws and things of that nature.
Yep.
And so that's essentially why it was separated, and it was housed at the chamber at the time. It is now in a new form, IEDI, and is not a part of the Indy Chamber. But that's essentially what it is. It's the economic development arm for the city of Indianapolis, specifically for the mayor's office, and helping push different workforce development programs, business attraction, business retention, as well as looking through incentive packages that developers and or companies are going through as they expand and make investments in Marion County.
So to your point, what Ian said about at the time for us when Develop Indy was housed at the chamber, I mean, I tell people all the time, talk about an amazing opportunity. Just the network and the leaders and developers and those relationships from that opportunity were they're just unmatched.
Yeah, unmatched. Relationships are so critical in, I would say, real estate and economic development. And being at the chamber was, at that time in my career, was awesome. Again, it got you exposure. It got to build my network. Honestly, in the city with a lot of different stakeholders. I grew up here, but my parents are just middle working class people outside of the church network. From a business perspective, wasn't really tied. Yeah. Being able for me to grow relationships with elected officials and business stakeholders was definitely invaluable for my career.
So you and I meet at Develop Indy. You get poached to go to the Indiana Economic Development Corporation and work your way up there to chief of staff. Can you tell us a little bit about that journey and what that entailed?
I mean, honestly, I didn't want to go there.
I remember these conversations.
To be very transparent, I turned down the opportunity twice, I believe, before eventually accepting. Sure enough, Ian was pretty correct. About 3 years from when I started at Develop Indy, in a span of a few weeks, I had 6 different companies reach out to me wanting to hire me. Everything from consultant to real estate developers, as well as the state. And so in my mind, I was like, this is my opportunity. I'm about to be able to do what I want to go do and go work for private sector and go work in development. However, the IEDC during that time was going through some transition. But they're going through a transition. New Secretary of Commerce, Brad Chambers, who is a real estate developer and CEO of Buckingham Properties, just came on as Secretary of Commerce. His chief of staff was David Rosenberg. I worked with David really just in a working capacity. He previously, and I believe in some ways still does, consult for charter schools. And so at the time, he would reach out to me and would ask me for locations and stuff like that for different schools he was working with. So he called me kind of out the blue and let me know that it wasn't public, but he was going over there as chief of staff. And he arranged a call with me and Brad. We just kind of walked through vision. I kind of wanted to see how it aligned. And Brad essentially is very visionary, but laid out kind of his plan and how he kind of wanted to reshift economic development for the state of Indiana. And it really focused on quality of place, quality of life. The READY program was already announced, but it needed to be operationalized.
Yep.
So it focused a lot on that. He wanted to be competitive from a site acquisition and site readiness perspective. A lot of other states were doing it. So he kind of forecasted like the LEAP development and things that, at the time the LEAP wasn't even thought of, but he kind of forecasted that was his vision and what he wanted to do. So the role I was coming in was to oversee the READY program, redevelopment tax credits, which is another incentive programs for developers, as well as help out with some of the master planning, site acquisition. I was fortunate to work on the GM sampling plant even while I was at Develop Indy. And so now this opportunity come at the state, and he told me point blank, I want to put $billions in real estate development in the built environment throughout the state of Indiana. And he's like, it starts with the READY program, but we're going to build from there. And so once he kind of laid out the vision, I had to really think to myself, Vince, you're probably not going to go anywhere with any developer and have the impact like you will in this role.
Yeah.
And get the experience. It was like, and I knew it was a shelf life, 3 or so years. And so I took the opportunity because I just felt like it would be invaluable and loved it. Loved every part of it. Again, ran the READY program, ran redevelopment tax credit, helped support and master plan what we did in site acquisition for GM sampling plant, as well as a LEAP district up in Lebanon.
See, this is what I love about your story. You started just lifeguard, Indy Parks. Now we're working our way up and we're the chief of staff for the Secretary of Commerce, which is so cool. And what I found really interesting, and I got the opportunity to go on an international trip to London with some folks on your team. Can you tell me a little bit about the international travel and what that piece looked like in terms of selling Indiana or just attracting business and investment in Indiana internationally?
Yeah. So business attraction, a lot of it is relational, especially international. You will not get any wins from international or foreign businesses want to make an investment in your city or state without going to them and building that relationship.
Yeah.
The biggest part is a relationship, going and meeting, shaking hands. That plays a big part. A lot of those international companies do not make decisions just on paper. They want to build relationships and know that any investment they make is not necessarily, we're just coming to your state. It's more of a partnership long-term. And that's really what we pitch, is that we're going to be a partner with this long-term with you.
So at this point now, you've had experience at the local level, at the state. And now can you tell us a little bit about the work that you do at Lauth Group?
So at Lauth, I am the SVP of Development and Operations, made the move beginning of 2025. Everybody knows there was an election going on, so a new administration came in at the state level. And so being at the IEDC for about 3.5 years, it was like, it's my turn to move on. I knew I wanted to get into real estate development. Opportunity came open at Lauth. They were going through some leadership transition. New CEO came in, and I was able to come on with his team, build a new leadership team. We call it Lauth 3.0, new iteration of who we are. Essentially what we do, we build multifamily and industrial projects. We are a fully vertically integrated company. We have everything from property management and construction that we do in-house. And so my role there is actually very similar to what I was at Chief of Staff, and I help oversee all our operations, make sure we're being efficient, cross-departmental, leading systems, implementation, marketing, HR, property management, facility maintenance. So it's kind of but back in the role, it's kind of like a chief of staff.
So big part of the reason why I brought you on today is because now at this point in your career, you've sat at pretty much every seat at the table. My first question is, how do you define success, and what does success look like as someone working in local government or economic development and someone working at the state versus now being a private developer?
Local development really focuses on, like, I would say with whether it's private, state economic development or local, what's the strategy that you're implementing on behalf of whoever the visionary is in that seat. But you really have to assess what are our key assets that we have here locally. How can we develop a strategy around it, and then how can we really go implement that? And so from a local perspective, it was multifaceted. Of course, economic development is, but it focused a lot on our key industries: life sciences, motorsports, I would say sports in general, advanced manufacturing, logistics has been pretty heavy. And so it was like, how can we continue to find wins in that sector and be very strategic about the companies that we're going to court? Wins are always looked at, redevelopments of property, if you can find better and higher use for like a parking lot and able to add more units. So, number of units you've been able to create of housing, CapEx investment, number of jobs you've been able to retain or create was kind of a lot of the local KPIs and metrics that we looked at. The state level was a little bit different because I would say the state is definitely the top of the funnel for the rest of the state. But if the state continues to get people interested in Indiana, from our perspective while we were there, we don't care if they locate anywhere between Lake Michigan and Ohio River.
Yeah.
As long as they're in Indiana.
Hit those Indiana boundaries.
Exactly. And then allow the local communities to basically offer their best competitive set and pitch to these companies and see which one ultimately wins out. So that's what we considered ourselves, is like, let's be the top strategy and help funnel it down to a lot of the communities. We then kind of switched and focused a lot on regional economic development with the READY program, et cetera, which now the current administration is even expounding upon outside of just quality of place, but more on business strategy in general and ecosystem. We again focused a lot on CapEx and number of jobs. During my time there, we went from, I believe the record was about $4 billion. Every single year we broke that record, ending close to $40 billion.
Wow, that is amazing.
It was fulfilling. It was a lot. It was a grind. But it is very fulfilling to kind of see that. Some of that was timing, just with semiconductors, things like that becoming a lot more prevalent, and just nationally, and a lot of reshoring nationally. So some of it was timing. I would say the other part of it was strategy. And I would say lastly was just the team. Like, that's the one thing that I can speak very highly of my time at the IEDC, is that the team was able to build. I would stack them up against any other state-led economic development organization.
Well, and to your point earlier about like the state really being the lead, I don't think a lot of people realize, like in Marion County, we had a pretty sophisticated team, as they do today, from an economic development standpoint. There's a lot of communities in Indiana that have never done a TIF before. I remember when I was doing public finance work at Barnes and Thornburg, I had to go in and explain, this is a TIF, this is how it works. And they're new to all of this. And so kind of what I view the state is as really that true partner that a lot of these rural and just smaller communities really lean on to help guide them through the economic development, redevelopment process.
No, absolutely. We learned a lot of that through the READY program.
Yeah.
As we were working on different projects, again, it was quality place, quality of life, invested from everything from parks and trails to housing projects to other convention centers, mixed use developments, a lot of different other amenities and assets. But, learned a lot. There was some communities that, that were learning and was still getting up to speed. But I would say there are a lot of other communities in the state that I think are doing awesome jobs as well, especially regionally. South Bend area, Fort Wayne area.
Fort Wayne's killing
it. Yeah. Down in southern Indiana, Clarksville, Jeffersonville, like New Albany. They're doing an awesome job down there. And so a lot of times it was great just getting out, because you're not aware of a lot of just the different plans and strategies that are going on, and learn and was great to be able to see what's going on across the state in different areas, and be able to honestly piggyback off of some of those strategies and suggest them to others as well.
So, and thinking about all the different seats you've had, what's the biggest misconception that developers have about government?
The biggest misconception is that they have nothing to do, or that government is just slow.
Yeah.
So that's probably the biggest one, is that government is slow. My argument to that is, usually in government and in nonprofits, you are tasked to do more with less. And so
that's such, yes,
it's
right
not
there.
really it's a capacity issue
Yes.
more than somebody's just not being responsive.
Yes. And I think that's the other piece that people just miss too, like to your point about who's the visionary directing at local government, state government. The leaders could change their mind like that in terms of, okay, we're really going to focus on life sciences. And then something changes nationally, and the next week it's like, nope, we're motorsport.
Good example of that is when I was at Develop Indy, we of course had our strategy that we were working on. I would say we were fairly busy. COVID hit. So I was at the chamber at the time. And so when COVID hit, in my eyes, I was like, nobody's about to do any type of economic development deals. And so with that, we pivoted a lot of our staff to help out with a lot of the COVID business responses. So we got grants from the city of Indianapolis to administer rent relief loans, PPE reimbursements. There was like 5 different programs. I think we ended up putting out close to $25 million throughout pretty much from April of 2020 through the rest of that year. Economic development actually picked up pretty significantly.
Oh my gosh.
It probably took a month pause. April, about mid-May, it just started clicking. Like everybody was making decisions. Of course, e-commerce just kind of shifted from there. And so I don't think we've seen as many leads, at least in my time at Develop Indy, than during that time period. And so we're essentially tasked with doing business response relief, specifically for small business and retail. And then economic development was picking up on leads. And it was just like a click of a button. Again, something nationally that happened that just triggered a shift. And it was insane. As everybody knows, during that time, a lot of bourbon was consumed. And
I forgot you are a bourbon person.
That's when it started. It was a fun time, did a lot, but it was a grind for sure.
Okay. And so flipping that now, what's the biggest misconception that government has about developers?
I would say the biggest misconception is that they're just in it for the money.
Okay. I thought that's what you were going to say.
That is not the case. And and I used to have that perception
same.
as well.
Oh, same. 1,000%.
Especially being on the public
just
side.
Like these greedy developers are out here with their hands open.
But being in a seat, a lot of it is like they're just in it for the money, when really, I would say the real good ones are very honest about the realities. And I would say on the public side, a lot of what you don't understand is what's happening with capital in general.
Yes.
The numbers, the metrics that you need to hit to secure debt, the numbers that you need to hit to secure investors to invest in your property. It's not made up numbers. These are market kind of factors that and baselines that you need to hit in order to get capital. And so as you're negotiating incentives, et cetera, it's mostly to hit those numbers.
Yes.
I've heard of developers having 3 different numbers because, our equity partners asked for this, so we'll give them this. The city asked for this, we'll give them that. Our philosophy at Lauth is we have one set of numbers. We share those numbers with everybody. We're not trying to be greedy. We're trying to do what's best for the community, as well as, again, make our capital partners happen and make the project happen. Otherwise, the project won't pencil and nothing will come from it. And then hopefully we do 2 or 3, and then we can back off, and the market will take care of itself. And so, in those secondary, tertiary markets, it is a lot tougher because underwriting is underwriting, and you can't pull a comp set from 60 miles away. So it can get tricky quick depending on the locations that you're at.
And so on that topic now, I'm just talking about things being tough and penciling out, and what you're seeing now, or just even on some past projects, why do good projects sometimes get stalled?
I would say community opposition, I wouldn't say is a big one. I mean, there's some national stuff that's going on. NIMBYism, not in my backyard. But as far as like good, I would say housing projects, I would say the biggest thing is why things are not working is mostly because of capital. Again, depending on the markets that you're in, underwriters will look at things a little bit more, aggressively, or be a lot more conservative, meaning that means you have to raise more money on the equity side. Those numbers need to look right for the investors. They're picking interest rates right now are still not good enough to be able to build a lot. And so you have to have a very good site. You have to have a willing community that's willing to be a good partner.
Good partner.
And that's critical.
Can we dig into that a little bit more? Because some of the developers that I work with now, I really stress that point to them, that a lot of times, and we've seen it before, developers will come into communities and are like, kind of, you should just be happy we're here investing in your community. We're putting millions, hundred millions of dollars, but then have no collaboration or relationship, even bother to talk to the community.
Right. Yeah, I would say most of the time it usually starts with the local mayors and their team and their vision that they've kind of laid out. There's great examples just here in the suburbs of Indianapolis, Fishers, Noblesville. They do a great job of casting a vision that their community has already bought into.
Yes.
And so with that, developers are aware, is like, hey, there's already a vision in place. They will be friendly towards development.
So I want to transition now and talk about what are some of the cool projects you have going on. And correct me if I'm wrong, but you guys aren't just Indiana. You're spread out across the U.S.
Yeah, right now we are in 3 different states. History of Lauth has been around for 50 years. I think at one point we were operating about 32 of the 50 states.
Oh, wow.
Of course, kind of with the Great Recession, 08, 09, a lot of developers kind of downsized. And so we've been focused a lot on just regional here lately within the last 10, 15 years or so. But we have multifamily properties as far as Arkansas. We have a handful in Kentucky, as well as Indiana. We are currently looking at some industrial sites in Ohio, in the Columbus market. And we have some active industrial sites here in central Indiana, as well as a couple multifamily pursuits. We'll be finishing up a Noblesville project. It's a mixed use in partnership with Pulte up in Finch Creek area of Noblesville. So that'll be a mixed use apartment development there. We've been having conversations doing something similar down in Bargersville, working on some things in Greenwood.
That area is really growing too.
It's been growing pretty significantly. One of the things that I guess been a lot public here lately is our work at the Thunderbird Commerce Center, which is a site over by Irvington. It's an industrial site. It's a former Ford Visteon site and brownfield that we've been redeveloping. We currently have 3 projects that just got signed off, I believe, yesterday.
Oh, congratulations.
Monarch Beverage was complete a little bit early last year. They employ about 500 people. We have our first spec building, and that's fully leased with a company called Dandy. They basically use 3D printing and AI to manufacture dentures.
Oh, cool.
Very cool company.
Yeah.
Their technology can be applied to other orthopedics. They're focused on dentistry right now. ABF Freight is a freight terminal. And we have 2 more spec buildings that will be going. One is, I believe, under roof, and we'll be breaking ground on the 3rd one here shortly. So it is
You are booked and busy.
Yeah, booked and busy. It's a very good example of just infill development, brownfield, that we've been able to develop to be successful in a property that once employed 6,000 people at Ford.
Yeah.
We're going to probably get to about 1/3 of that, but that's still good in kind of this day and age with a lot of different automation that's in a lot of these facilities now.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So looking ahead, I'm curious, what are some of the trends you're seeing right now?
One of the biggest trends that I think that everybody's seeing is power supply and power demand.
Yep.
So that is probably, outside of capital, probably our number one issue that we're kind of facing.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily being able to supply it, it's the timing of when that supply is, where utility companies are strained, power generation is significantly strained. I would say a lot of that is because of data centers and things that are going on, but utility companies are being a lot more conservative about how they're forecasting their power supply. I would say in times where it would only take 6 to 8 months to be able to fulfill a load we need for an industrial building, we're now being told it's going to be taking 12 or so. And so power generation, power supply is a huge issue. I think it's probably going to get worse before it gets better. But that means developers have to come up with some creative ways to mend that gap. We're actively, strategically looking at opportunities and ways that we can mend that, at least being able to supply power in the meantime before the utility company can provide the full power that a tenant may need.
Yeah.
But I would say that is one of the bigger trends that I see going on nationally. I would say just market and environment factors is constantly a trend. Everybody keeps a close eye on the interest rates.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to come down anytime soon. I think everybody's just need to start figuring out how to work in the environment that we're in now.
Yeah.
But yeah, the biggest ones would be power, and then it's kind of just market factors in general.
Okay. That's a good one. Yeah. We hear about it every day in the news. It's every day.
It's real.
So now we're going to transition into the rapid portion of City Builders. You're now my third guest.
Okay.
You know Nolan.
Yeah.
It's my husband.
How do you do?
Your friend. Terrible. Terrible. So Nolan did terrible. Morgan Steiner, you know Morgan. Yep. She did great.
Awesome.
I have all the faith in you that you will do well.
All right.
Okay, so let's hit it. Most underrated Indiana community.
We'll say New Albany.
Okay.
In that area, New Albany, Clarksville, Jeffersonville.
Okay. Favorite Indiana development?
That is a good one. I'm going to have to say the Nexus Park development that is in Columbus, Indiana. They took a vacant mall and turned it into a health, athletic, mixed-use kind of complex.
I have seen this. Okay.
So that would probably be my favorite one that I have seen throughout the state. There's a lot of ones I've seen through the Ready program, but that's definitely up there.
Okay, I like it. We're totally not rapid, but it's okay. Yes. Wait, we'll try to be rapid now. A city doing development really well.
City doing development very well. I would say Michigan City.
Okay. Biggest misconception about economic development?
We hand out cash dollars to every company that asks for it.
That one right there. One book everyone should read.
New Urban Crisis by Richard Florida.
Nice. I have not read that. I'll have to check that out. If you could have coffee with anyone.
Great question. I had some of these questions before, but the best one I would say is probably my grandfather.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Indiana in 2035 in one word.
Bold.
Yes.
Or the bold.
I like it. Yeah. Thank you.
Awesome. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
This was fun.
Very fun.
So you did exactly what I thought you would do. You were great. No, seriously, how many people do you get?
Just a conversation with a friend. So
yeah. But even just your background and all you've done, I love just growing up in Indianapolis, sitting in all of those different seats. And what I appreciate most about you is that you care about the community.
Absolutely.
And you care about the city. And you're one of those people that I put in that category as a city builder, a mover and a shaker that really wants to make an impact, not just for yourself, but your kids and their kids.
I appreciate that. Throughout my career, it's been very humbling being in a lot of different experiences. But yeah, it all comes back down to doing the right thing for a city and state that I'm pretty passionate about.
Naptown.
Yeah, all the way.
Thank you for listening to City Builders, presented by MBR Partners. If you enjoyed today's conversation, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with someone who's passionate about building stronger communities. Thanks for listening, and until next time, keep building.